Building versus buying a house, which one should you go for and why? Before we even go into the video, I want you to comment below which one you did or which one you prefer and why. And we'll make sure to read all comments and feature the best comments in an upcoming video. Now, we interviewed somebody who has built his house and also bought a house, and he's going to share his experiences. Coming up next.
Okay, so like I mentioned, my brother's an architect, right? He builds for people. I also know people who prefer to buy. People prefer to buy because litigation, land grabs, and there's like the stress involved. They don't want to deal with it. So they'll just go for a mortgage. Others, they think buying a house is too expensive. So they want to build it bit by bit. I cannot say that one is better than the other. I think it depends on who you are. So for instance, you're a young guy coming up and you want a place of your own. Personally, as a young guy, I would prefer to build than to buy, because as a young guy, whatever it is, and especially a man, you have to face the realities of life. Life is not always going to be fair. So if you go and a young guy shakes you small, it's part of the growing up process. You understand me? It's part of it, because you need to get that experience so that tomorrow when your kids are also grown, you can lead them to go and buy land. So you need to have that experience. When you become comfortable with renting, you lose that edge to build. And sometimes, like you say, maybe I'll build maybe in 5 years' time. I'm saving up because this is an interesting thing. Some people say, okay, I'm saving up to build. So I want to have all the money to build. But the cost of goods and materials, right? They are not waiting for you. They are just going up all the time. Personally, as a young guy growing up, I would say you should build. Now, for those that prefer to buy, the reason, like I said, they prefer to buy is that they don't want all that stress. Unless your salary or your mortgage structure, everything supports it, and you want to buy like fully furnished estate and whatever, fine, that's also another option. But what I've realized is that for most people, when they even buy these homes, they complain that the quality sometimes is not like they're looking at the amount of money that they're using to purchase it, right? And it's a long-term commitment. So basically, it's a loan you are paying over a number of years, right? You have to keep paying. What if your taste and preferences change over time? What if maybe you were buying the house in Dansuman, but now all of a sudden, midway in the mortgage, you're like, I prefer to stay somewhere like Oyarifa. Those kind of situations are not comfortable. So those who can afford to buy, I say, yes, you should buy if you don't want to deal with the stress. Those who believe they want to have their own place, modify it to their own taste, and they are young people that they can take a calculated risk, right? And get something affordable to start life with, I'll say build. And no place is far. Just go get a comfortable place, make sure there's no litigation, and then you start something over there. Well, where I used to stay at first, the first time we moved there, I was like,
This place is very far.
This place is very far. Bush everywhere, full of snakes. Look, those times when the dormitory was passing, we could hear all the way. And people said we were staying in a bridge. And you get to a place like Hacho, sometimes you see only 5 cars. Yeah, but now look at Hacho today, right? So there's no place that's far. Development keeps on happening. So in terms of like I said, just get some affordable land and then start building gradually. But for those who can afford to buy, they should go ahead and buy it. But I will say one thing, that those who are buying, make sure you still have to do the same checks and due diligence. One, is the property owned by the seller? Like that area, is it under litigation or anything? What happens in the rainy season in that area? The roads to that area, is it more trouble when it rains? So the same principles apply when you're building a house. The same thing applies to buying a house, right? You have to go to the place in the rainy season. If it gets flooded, you can go see a nice, beautiful edifice. But probably when it rains, the place is flooded.
Sometimes even the roof leaks. Yeah?
Exactly. The roof leaks, especially those doing a lot of secret roofing these days. No, I'm not attacking anyone, but a lot of the secret roofings do leak these days because we are trying to cut corners, but we don't have the right stuff here. Don't follow brand name. Look, even if the real estate company selling you the property is #1 in the country, please do
due diligence.
Exactly. Because there have been issues, there have been stories. People buy houses and 6 months down the line, they still don't have access to their keys.
For me, I'm more on the side of people who should take a mortgage, right, and purchase a house. I feel it makes more economic sense than building, bit by bit, especially considering the fact that from 2022 till now, the prices of all building materials have almost doubled, right? But I don't think that the overall interest rate you are going to pay is 100% for any mortgage. Because if you extrapolate, if it's going to take you 10 years to build, we recently did a video on how you can build a house with 2,000 CDs every month, right? So I'm going to leave that video in the description below. You can check it out after this interview. And the projections and calculations we did for a small 3-bedroom house on a half plot of land is going to take you about 10 years. It will be better to buy the house today than wait for 10 years.
Okay, so good point. But where the house is located, is there a preferred location? Two, where the house is located, right? The size of the house. You've seen the way they are building these days. There's literally no space between the houses and there are no trees.
Yeah, but of course, you would need to check for all these things and then
Exactly.
find a good balance.
Yes.
Because you may not get everything, right?
Good,
So you find
good.
something that fits into what you want.
For any of them, you have to do your
Due diligence, yeah.
Because even I know some people that took a facility and bought a house for 300,000 CDs at the time. But after they moved in, they realized that there were cracks in the walls. So would you like to take a mortgage and then after that you spending more money fixing the house? You understand me? And like I said, right, economically, it's true. Looking at the way things, price of goods are going up and what have you, right? It's very, very true. But then if the building you find meets all your expectations, I mean, you can go for it. If you can also get a mortgage for it, I mean, that's fine. But if you can't get what you want, the location is a problem for you, or maybe it's just too overpriced, then I suggest you build. And some people, right, maybe like they're staying with their parents as a young individual, probably staying with their parents, maybe they're not married yet, right? I've seen this argument on social media that should you rather build a house or buy a car, right? And there was this rainy season, this guy who had built a house was walking in the, and they were like, you should carry his house to work. It's a very, very funny conversation, right?
But it's a very real conversation as well, especially for young people.
For me, I always say that if you are staying like with your parents, you should prioritize building a house over buying a car.
Really?
But well, if you ask me, right, did I own a car before I bought a house? Yeah, I owned a car before I bought a house, but the car was for business.
Understood. But the thing is, let me stop you right there. I feel many young people, once like they get a job, their first thing they purchase is a car. Their first significant purchase is a car.
Yeah, because they feel that transportation system in the country doesn't work. They can't, you want to feel comfortable, relax. The sun is hot, put on the AC.
They want to show that they've arrived,
Yes.
Get girls and things.
Well, like again, I refer to social media where now the girls were complaining that guys always complain that the price of pizza was more than one cement bag, but right now one cement bag is more than the price of pizza. Look, everybody has a different approach to life. It's like when you're cooking jollof, right? Everybody and their strategy, right? But I think that if currently, like you can get a very small car, you don't need to get a very luxurious car.
No, but in today's Ghana, a small car is very expensive, right? Let me give you some angles.
I know.
I have a colleague at work who wants to purchase his first car. He says he wants a Honda Civic. That's all he wants. I've told him he should try and get an older, let's say, SUV, but he says no. He wants a 2022, 2021 Honda Civic. And he's been searching from like last year, December till now. The price has been going up every month, and currently it's sitting at about almost 150,000 CDs for the Honda Civic. Yeah. And I'm telling him that this 150,000 can do something for your building project. But regardless of what I say, he feels he needs to go for it.
There's these two schools of thought, right? Instant gratification and delayed gratification, right? In getting a car, that's instant gratification, right? Ease of life, you just feel comfortable. You put on the AC, it suits you. But you and I know a car is not all luxury, right? Especially on Ghana roads, right? Anything can happen, right? And spare parts I mean, car is really not an
Servicing,
asset, right?
maintenance, and all.
It's a depreciating
A house
asset
is also not an asset till,
till it's completed.
Exactly.
What I'll say is that for your friend, you gave him the best advice because in having a delayed gratification and putting in that house, if he has land and the land has appreciated, like all this time that he was waiting for the Honda Civic price and all that, he could have used that to buy maybe some 2, 3 plots of land. The rate at which land appreciates in Ghana is higher than the dollar rises or something, right? So you could sell the lands and then you could get more money. You could do both. It's all about strategy. But if you want to have it now, that's the problem. It's difficult, but here's what I'll say. Like, if you can, your house should be your focus. A friend will tell you that if life hits you hard, you can sleep in a comfortable house, but you can't sleep in the car.
Okay, so pause it there, right? I feel some of our institutions have also made the system that way, and it has kind of, put in people's minds that the car is what you get first, right? Because most banks in Ghana, most big corporates, after 1 year, you get access to a car loan. Most of them, most of the big companies. After 5 to 10 years, you get access to mortgage.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because they want you at work. Like, so the car brings you to work. Like, they are only interested in.
So that leads me to my next point, right? Because for most of the people who are now starting life, they don't have the kind of money to be able to purchase land at Hatch or East Legon,
Yeah.
and etc. So they'll have to probably go and buy land at the outskirts, the Dodowa and Sawam, Kaswa things we spoke about. Regardless of the city, they want to work at the central business district area. When you calculate going to build far away and then the transportation, then sometimes it just makes sense just buy a car and live closer, rent, right?
Good. That's true, but it's a balancing act, right? So you want to do two things. You want to have a house and you also want to live comfortably.
I'm saying sometimes it's better to rent and never to build.
I struggle with that.
Why?
I always refer to what people say. He says that, look, you always think 12 months is far till you start renting. It comes and you always have to gather this lump sum to go and pay your rent. And mind you, I've done some calculation, right? If you stay in a rented place for 10 years, the money that will be taken from you could have built that place. So actually, any new property built, right? In about 10 years, the owner recoups his total investment. So if you rent for 10 years, the money you would have paid to landlords is equivalent to the cost of building that property. So you have to have a plan. Maybe, okay, I want to have my own place in 5 years' time. Granted, do I qualify for a mortgage now? No. If I don't qualify for a mortgage now, let me do the things I can do that I can be putting up my building in bits. So like I said, like you have money for foundation, you go and do it. You can leave the foundation, get your car, you're moving around. So it's like, for lack of a better word, singy. Like you just do it gradually on both ends, right? So you're still, and then you get a small car. You don't need to get a comfortable car. Once the car can take you anywhere and can give you good AC, you're good. Like all the aesthetics, the leather interior.
So they should buy some small 1.2 engine.
Yeah, 1.5 engine, and like you said, go for Ghana used in good condition. Just use that. I mean, that's for if you're trying to balance your books well. But those who can afford, they can just go ahead, buy their luxury cars, build their luxury homes.
So in case you're looking for a house to buy in Ghana, we interviewed the Mesh real estate owner. Click on this video to watch his beautiful $175,000 building project. See you in that video. Thanks, Burglar.